and it was very clear. And so with this, we're really grateful to be joined by Senator Sheldon Whitehouse from Rhode Island.
Thanks, Chairman, and thanks to the Helsinki Commission for holding this and to our witnesses for being with us. I should report that we are pushing for a date for a vote with Leader Schumer on the designation of the Wagner Group as a foreign terrorist organization, and I want to salute Senator Blumenthal, who is sitting next to me, for his work, and Senator Graham. We just were in Kiev not long ago, and one of our big takeaways was this really needed to be done, and so I hope it will be shortly. Ms. Gudzowska, could you just give us a quick explanation on how the financial institutions, lawyers, company formation agents, and other enablers facilitate the Wagner Group's money laundering and financial crimes, and how the FTO designation would impair that?
Thank you very much. Thank you for this question. I'm a big fan of the Enablers Act, so I'm glad you asked.
We're still working on it.
Yeah. So I think that's a very critical component, and that's because the Wagner Groups works through front companies. Wherever it goes, it sets up front companies in CAR, in Sudan, and that's how it is able to exploit those resources. And to set up front companies, you have to have people willing to do that. You need lawyers, you need company formation agents. So those people need to be targeted as well. Their obligations need to be higher. And we also need to raise awareness.
And FTO designation would facilitate that.
Yes, because it just raises the bar. You can be prosecuted for doing business with the Wagner Group, whether you're sitting in the US or a different country.
Thank you.
And you're pretending material support.
Thank you. Mr. Blazakis, what's your view on how other countries would view Wagner's actions? Would we be isolating ourselves by designating them a terrorist organization or joining a consensus?
I think for the designation to be as effective as it could be, it's important for the United States to align itself and to work with other countries to also designate under their own legal authorities the Wagner Group as a terrorist group. I testified in October of
Which is already beginning, correct?
Which is, yeah, I testified at the House of Commons Foreign Affairs Committee in the UK, and there is a initiative within the UK Parliament to prescribe the Wagner Group as a terrorist group, and there was a report recently about a month ago that the Home Office, who has the legal authority to designate terrorist groups in the UK, is at the threshold of possibly designating the group. I don't think the United States would isolate itself by sanctioning the Wagner Group as a terrorist group, but rather it could serve as an inspiration for other countries to do the same.
Mr. Wright, this will be my last question. In addition to being little green men, and in addition to being a mercenary army for Vladimir Putin, the Wagner Group also provides muscle for kleptocrats at a price, usually out of the national revenues of the kleptocrats they're protecting. What's your assessment of how important it is to follow the money, to get at all these lines of business, and how good do you think we are at it right now? How much room for improvement is there?
Well, to address the first part of your question, it's critically important to follow the money. You take away the resources, and it certainly can restrict the scope of their activities. That's one of the goals, really, of an FTO designation, is that global deterrent effect. It can have a deterrent effect on those individuals that are willing to support their efforts. Ultimately.
And do you have an assessment of how well we're doing or how much room for improvement there is?
I can't speak to that as far as the Department of Justice internally or otherwise, but I can just speak to the statistics. Generally speaking, FTO prosecutions have been much more successful than any prosecutions under IEPA. There's almost a twofold number of successful prosecutions under those statutes. So it has been an effective tool, at least in the fight against Al-Qaida and ISIS as well, by example.
Great. Well, with colleagues joining, I don't want to take any more time, but I would invite the other witnesses, if they have further comments on that, to take the question as a question for the record, and would love to have any further response you care to offer in writing. Thank you. Thanks again, Chairman. This is very good stuff.
Hey, thank you so much, Senator. Appreciate your insight, and it's exciting to hear the legislation proceeding. That is so positive. Thank you.